Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and we got some new combat patrols on the way. This video is sponsored by CMO Games. More on that later. Exert mechanical supremacy with the new combat patrol boxes for the Adeptus Mechanicus and Necrons. Combat Patrol is a fast and fun way to play Warhammer 40,000, and getting started couldn't be simpler. You just need to buy a Combat Patrol box, download the rules and missions, and find a willing opponent. Codex Adeptus Mechanicus and Codex Necrons are both on immediate horizon, and each brings a new Combat Patrol box of cold-hearted logisticians who want nothing more than to snuff out biological life with their superior technology. Alright, so first we have the Adeptus Mechanicus, brand new Combat Patrol, and we have already seen the Necron Combat Patrol previewed, but the Adeptus Mechanicus Combat Patrol box is relatively new, so it is a little surprising to see a new one coming out, but maybe as the codexes are going to come out, they're going to put out a new Combat Patrol for each one. As so far, that would be 4 in a row. The Adeptus Mechanicus are generally too preoccupied with hunting down Archaeotech to concern themselves with the pathetic flesh of their allies, and their new Combat Patrol box is packed with marvelous cybernetic cores ready to cleanse dig sites of contamination. Purge Corps Deltic 9 is led by Tech Priest Manipulus by the name of Scan, who goes to war protected from enemy fire by a squad of 10 Skitarii Vanguard. Manipulus Scan can choose to deploy with the Aspergilla of Tarentum enhancement to mist his allies with an energy-diffusing oil that improves survivability, or he can boost his bodyguard's weapons with extra range and cover-penetrating capabilities using overcharged electropositors. Alright, so here is the new box, and this is one of the more recent characters that has come out, and then we have like 2 of the most recent units as well, the cybernetic horse dog thingies, and then of course the flyer guys, and then just a base unit of Skitarii. So nice little box right here. I'd just be a little bit concerned that without some kind of like armor or a vehicle, and nothing with really like heavy firepower or particularly strong in combat, this just feels like a little lackluster competitively. Now it is going to be relatively quick because you have the cavalry and then also the flyers, but could potentially run into some like serious difficulties if it is faced with some actual armor. Alright, so here are the 2 enhancements. The Aspergilla of Tarentum. Each time an attack targets a bear's unit, subtract 1 from the wound roll. And then the optional enhancement, Overcharge Electropositors. Add 6 to the range characteristic of ranged weapons equipped by models in the bear's unit, and those weapons have the Ignores Cover ability. 5 Pteraxii Sterylizers provide a potent deep strike threat with the phosphor torches, and the Serberyrs Sulphurhounds are fast flame-spewing cavalry that can trade up into tougher foes. Inside the codex is a guide on how to get the Purge Corps Deltic 9 painted in the livery of Mars, and some tips for tipping engagements in your favor. The Combat Patrol rules for Purge Corps Deltic 9 will be available as a free download closer to the release date. The existing rules for the current Adeptus Mechanicus Combat Patrol, Manipulus Alpha, aren't going anywhere either. You'll be able to field both forces in Combat Patrol games, whether you pick them up as box sets or individual units. So that is a nice little tidbit right there. Just knowing that the existing Combat Patrols are not going to be going anywhere is pretty awesome. So we're definitely going to be seeing multiple Combat Patrols for different factions. And I really like that. I mean, having the ability to balance Combat Patrol and then slowly add in additional Combat Patrols is pretty cool. And we've been playing quite a bit of Combat Patrol and really enjoying it so far. Alright, and then on to the Necrons. Combat Patrol Necrons is an elite contingent of living metal warriors with a burning desire to return the galaxy to a state of cold stasis, including 10 Necron warriors, 3 Skorpekh Destroyers, a Canoptek Doomstalker, and 3 Canoptek Scarab Swarms, all ready to do battle under the command of the implacable Necron Overlord, Canoptek. There's a painting guide and tactics over in Codex Necrons, and the rules for Combat Patrol are already available to download right here. Okay, so we've already seen this one kind of shown off, and I do actually like this Combat Patrol a lot. It's pretty good balance, it has some cool units in it, and honestly, it's a nice looking set of models right here. Now there are some pluses and some minuses about this. So basically, the majority of this set is what came in Indomitus or in like the starter set from previous editions. So like the Doomstalker is an addition into the set, but everything else came with basically like a lot of the different sets available in 9th edition, which I think is really good because a lot of people are going to already have all of or most of these models to be able to just start playing a Necron Combat Patrol. Now that being said, this one also shares some of the same issues that we saw with the more recent Combat Patrols. And normally I would say that we're starting to see a trend, but obviously the Adeptus Mechanicus Combat Patrol is nothing like that. So basically with the Space Marines, with the Tyranids, and now with the Necron Combat Patrols, they're primarily composed of models that came in the starter sets, and they're like easy to build models. So while you can still add up the MSRP and see how much value is in the actual set, it's not necessarily an accurate representation of what someone would expect to pay. So for instance, with the Space Marine Combat Patrol, it's still priced at the $160 price point of all the other Combat Patrols, But if you were to total up all the individual models that are in the set, the 2 characters at about $40 a piece is $80. A Terminator squad at like $60 is $140. And then half of an Infernus squad is like $30. So basically the set comes out to like $170 to $175. And the retail price on it is $160. As where a lot of the other combat patrols are well over like $225 in MSRP value inside. So it definitely feels like some of these have gotten the short end of the stick, at least when it comes to like the actual value of the models inside compared to the price that you would expect to pay for the set. So I'm glad that the Adeptus Mechanicus box set kind of breaks that trend. Otherwise, I'd be a little worried as to what to expect for future combat patrols. But I do like that they've already said that not only if they already have a combat patrol, it'll be staying, but a lot of the factions, so far all of them, will be getting new combat patrols as the codexes launch as well. So there's definitely some pluses and some minuses. It's a plus if you already have a lot of these miniatures or you have access to them at a good price, but it's definitely a minus if you're going to pick up one of these box sets compared to one of the other sets that has much more relative value in it. Now a quick message from today's sponsor. CMO Games has been selling Games Workshop products online for over 20 years. They carry the full line of Games Workshop products including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Necromunda, Blood Bowl, paint tools, and more. Almost all Games Workshop products are priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games takes pre-orders for most Games Workshop products released at their earliest date possible. 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, they go live. Most of these pre-order products are also priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games offer free shipping in the US 48 with an order of $50 or more. Their customer service is top-notch and they ship most orders within 24 hours. Visit CMOGames.com using the affiliate link in the description and let them know that you heard about CMO Games from Warhammer Man. Now back to the video. So while I do like some of the changes and a lot of the options, if all the combat patrols are going to be priced the same, they should offer at least a similar amount of MSRP value inside, and that's just not the case. And we do have the download tab here to grab the existing rules for the Necron combat patrol. And a little note from Games Workshop, both these boxes will be released alongside their respective codexes, which are getting closer as we speak. Those who can't wait for the robot revolution may prostrate themselves before the magnificent metal form of the new Necron Overlord to pass the time. Yeah, so pretty cool overall. Definitely got some cool stuff out of this article, knowing that not only is AdMech getting a new combat patrol, but also that we're going to see multiple combat patrols for various factions. And if there is a trend that every codex is going to have a new combat patrol, that's definitely a good sign. So let me know what you think down below. I'm definitely a fan of both these combat patrols. I really like the Adeptus Mechanicus, has a bunch of the new models inside. But we'll have to see if it's going to be like competitive. It definitely looks like there's some holes in the build here. And as far as the Necrons are concerned, while the value may not be amazing in some of these other combat patrols, especially the ones that have like the easy to build or starter set minis inside, it actually plays really nice on the table. But it's going to be weird because they already ditched the Necron's old combat patrol that had the flyer inside, and now they're making this one. So it sort of seems like the Necrons are going to end up with only one combat patrol and everybody else is going to end up with 2, or in the case of Space Marines, maybe way more than that. So let me know what you think down below. Are you excited for either of these combat patrols? Do you like the idea of them like kind of repurposing a lot of models people might already have into combat patrols so it's a little more accessible? Would you rather see more combat patrols like this where it's a bunch of like the new models, even if it's not as competitive? Always like to hear back from you guys in the comments. As always, special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring the video. Check out the link in the description to save 15% on Games Workshop products. That's it for today. Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man. And if you haven't played some Combat Patrol yet, I highly recommend it. It is super fun. And I'm out of here.